Good morning, and welcome to another Writer's Morning Commute with Ashton Gaskill. We'll be moving on from our points to discussing the eighths in my 9 points and 8 eighths outlining method. And the first eighth that we'll be discussing is the first eighth. Unlike the points, I treat my eighths chronologically. I just start from the beginning and go through. And this is where I start to put all the points in chronological order and figure out how we're going to get from point A to point B. How to bridge those larger plot events, those big what's the word? Those big set piece moments. And figure out how we're going to get the characters from set piece to set piece, and from large emotional event to large emotional event. What changes need to happen both geographically, physically, mentally, and emotionally to transition them from one to the next. And the names of these eighths come from Dan Harmon's story circle, or story embryo. So if they sound a little bit familiar, that's why I have adapted them a bit. All that said, the first eighth focuses on the hero, or the main character. It's all about establishing who this person is and trying to get your audience to care about them. It starts with the characteristic moment, which is the first moment, first scene, the first, visual of your story, and it ends with the inciting incident. Between those two, our main goal is to establish who this person is. We should be, I try to list out the virtues and vices that I want to convey about my character, and make sure that I establish all of them in this first eighth. I ask myself, okay, what sort of situation can I put the character in? What conversation can they have? What action can they take to show them being this virtue or being this vice? How can I show them being greedy? How can I show them being loving? And it's only by carefully crafting these moments for your readers later to put together that you will show that your character has those traits. And hopefully, if you've outlined correctly, those traits will be the crucial traits that get the character in and out of trouble as they react in those ways. So before, they'll either act greedy or lovingly throughout the book. And you could have other traits too. It doesn't have to be just two. It doesn't have to be one positive and one negative. But they'll act to who they are and be consistent throughout those big moments that are represented by the points that drive the story forward. So that kind of establishes who your character is, but we also need to establish how they got that way. We want to, at the very least, hint at their character ghost, possibly state it outright, but at the very least hint at it, to kind of give the audience an idea of how the character got to be the way they are. We also want to establish the setting details and explain what's going on with the world, and especially how the world makes the character comfortable, how the world allows them to be comfortable in their lie, living with their ghosts, with their flaws. Because soon they're going to be kicked out of this world and those flaws are suddenly going to make them very uncomfortable. But for now, we want to reinforce the idea that somehow those flaws have been beneficial to them up to this point. There's a reason they haven't gone through this maturity and emotional growth. We also want to foreshadow where the story is going to be going. So if we can foreshadow in some way what the character needs, give them a brief glimpse of what they need somehow, whether they realize it or not, whether they dismiss it or not, just to hint at the audience about where the story might be headed. The final thing that I think about when I'm looking at my first eighth is how much exposition to include. This first eighth has a lot going on. The characteristic moment is a lot of stuff. The first eighth has a lot to do as far as building likability for your character. As such, I look at what exposition is necessary to make my inciting incident as impactful as possible, and what exposition is necessary for my audience to enjoy reading this character. And anything else, I try to push past the inciting incident and include later. This first eighth is very full. I try to minimize the world-building exposition dumps here. So hopefully that all gives you some stuff to think about. Thank you for writing with me. I hope you all have a great day.